Welcome, everybody. As I mentioned, we'll start today's meeting slightly different than usual till we can get our officers elected, and then our new chair will run the rest of the meeting today. So we'll call the meeting to order, and then April, if you wouldn't mind doing roll call, and since we have some new members, if people are comfortable, if you just give us a little bit of an introduction about yourself.
I actually don't have the list up because I had to restart the computer.
Oh,
If we just want to go around the room and introduce ourselves,
perfect.
probably
Let's
easier.
start with Commissioner Reed on Zoom, just so that we can make sure that you hear everything.
Sure. Melinda Reed, Helena City Commission.
Efficient. I love it.
Jacob, would you like to go next?
Yeah, he who speaks. My name is Jacob Krisovich. I'm the disabled community member representative. And I've been on here for a year and a half.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, because my first part was an interim. Now I'm serving my first real term. And from Helena, I have 2 kids and 2 young boys, and I'm married to an amazing woman and who's a school teacher, and I work for Child and Family Services. So.
I'm Debbie Lane, and I represent AARP, and I'm retired, so.
Jealous.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alana Lake. I hear I'm the newest member here. Happy to join the group. Care deeply about ADA issues, and so very excited to kind of learn from you all and figure out how I can contribute.
Abigail Dolan. I am the program manager for the Helena Business Improvement District, which I frequently call BID.
I'm Troy Sampson. I'm the Community Facilities Director with the city.
Hi, I'm Matt Peterson. I'm an attorney with the City of Helena.
David Knopke, the Transportation Systems Director.
Mike Bassett, recreational therapist for Montana VA. The medical professional chair board member, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, I've been in Helena for 2 years now. Extensive background in adaptive sports and recreation. So passionate about making sure the city I live in is compliant.
Wonderful. And I'm Ann Pichette. As I mentioned earlier, I'm the housing coordinator up in the community development department, and I am also the city's ADA coordinator.
And I'm April Sparks. I am the admin for the community development department and the person who emails all of the people and everything.
Thank you, everybody, and welcome. I'm so glad to have everybody here. So to start off with officer elections, let's open the discussion, open nominations for chair or volunteers even to be chair of the committee. Anyone is interested?
I nominate Jacob.
I knew you were gonna do it. I was gonna nominate you.
You know, Jacob, there's the opportunity for vice chair.
Fair enough.
Are there any other nominations or a second to the nomination?
I second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Jacob, you are our new chair of the ADA Compliance Committee.
Thank
So
you.
you get to run the rest of the meeting. If you need any help, just let us know.
Okay. I will with the agenda because
Absolutely.
I didn't get it pulled up, and thank you.
Yeah, no
I didn't get it
worries.
pulled up before it came. I was actually trying to do that right now.
No worries.
So Jacob, would it help if I read you what the next thing was and then?
Yeah, we have to finish elections.
Correct.
Right? And then, okay. Yes, that would be. So next would be vice president, correct?
Correct.
All right. Do I have any nominations for vice president?
A volunteer.
Okay. Love it.
Great. So that is Michael.
So we have Michael volunteering to serve as the vice chair. Do I have any other nominations? Anybody wish to second that nomination?
Second.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
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 Hi.
All right,
Yeah.
Mike,
Right,
you are
thank
our
you.
new vice chair.
We don't have any other officer roles, right?
No, it's chair and vice chair only.
That is correct.
Perfect.
So Jacob, the next item on the agenda would be the review and approval of the minutes from the July 15th meeting. Those were posted on the website. If anybody has questions, we can go through it. We can read them. Please let me know what's best.
All right, yeah. Any questions or comments on the meeting minutes for July?
Well, I thought the meeting minutes said that Commissioner Reed said to put the code enforcement on our agenda every time we meet until it's resolved. And I don't see it on here.
Jacob, you won't have this, but I have an update on that under regular items A.
Okay.
I will have an update on that.
Okay.
Fantastic. Any other comments? Is there, does somebody want to make a motion to approve the meeting minutes as written?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion passes. Minutes are approved.
Thank you, Chair. The next item on the agenda is regular items A, which is ADA concerns, complaint status reports, and that would be me, Anne, who will be giving those.
I think perfect. Let's hear it, Dan.
Great, thank you. But so I just want to make sure everybody, we had put together the concerns complaint status report prior to the last meeting, which then did not take place. So I just want to make sure that I cover both of those for the minutes so that we have those on the record, that the September 5th report that was supposed to be for the September 16th meeting noted that there were no ADA issues were raised to the city between July 3rd and September 5th for discussion at that meeting. Just want to make sure you see that they're two separate ones. Apologize for that. And then the November 7th one that was posted prior to today's meeting also states that no Title II ADA issues were raised to the city between September 6th, which was the previous report, and November 6th for discussion at the November 18th meeting. So just want to make sure we have both of those separate reports noted. Also, I have an update on an item that we've had updates on for the meeting related to the ADA golf cart at the municipal golf course. There were some difficulties with supply chain and a variety of other things, but I just got notice yesterday that the cart for our golf course is ready to be shipped, and they expect it to be here in December. So it should be here and ready to be used by the public April. That probably depends on snow when they actually open the course, but they said it should be ready for people to be able to use as soon as we're ready for the golf season. So that's really exciting. I know it was a little delay, but very exciting that it's on its way, ready to come. So. And then the other update I have addresses your concern, Debbie. The agendas are not posted yet for the city commission meeting on December 3rd, but I've been told that the plan is to have an update on code enforcement report at that meeting. Once the agenda posts, I'm happy to send it out to the board. Oh, and maybe David Knopke also has an update for us.
Yeah, real quick. The city attorneys are and transportation is gonna bring that proposed resolution at the December 3rd in hopes that we can, if there's no questions, potentially for action on by the city commission.
So that would be their vote on approving the
new municipal infraction process.
Okay. So you have a proposed draft that just needs to be approved by the.
Correct.
Okay. Fantastic. That's exciting. Thank you, David.
So if it's helpful after this meeting, I'm happy to send out the link where you can all find it yourselves as soon as it comes up. But then as soon as I see it post prior to the meeting, I will also send it out to you if that's something that's helpful. You can always come to the meetings in person or on Zoom. As a member of the public, you can always come. So
And that was December 3rd.
December 3rd.
Okay. Thank you.
The admin meeting.
Yes.
Yeah.
All
And then Chair, the next item is B, which is
Could I say something really quick on this point? Sorry, hand is up, but I'm not sure anyone can see me.
right. Well, thank you, Commissioner. Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate the update, Ms. Pichette. And just a question, it has come up before, and I'm curious, again, I'm one single commissioner. I cannot do anything myself, but I have heard that there was interest in possibly moving forward to the full commission, a discussion about whether or not this committee remains a compliance committee, which in this current configuration, if there are no complaints, the meetings are canceled. That's what convenes this group. And I recall from the last year or so of discussion, there was some interest in having it be more of an advisory committee that doesn't only convene when there's a complaint. First question is, have I correctly heard that there is interest among this committee to have that discussion at the commission level? And if so, I guess I can see where we go from there and then see what the interest would be and what types of advisory role the board could take. So I will mute myself and see if there's interest there.
Commissioner Reed, before you mute yourself, you're asking for the committee itself to express their opinion on that, right? Their interest?
Well, I have heard it expressed over, in different ways over time. So I guess, is there interest formally from the committee for me to bring that forward to the full commission? Yes, I'm asking for committee consensus to pursue that conversation.
Okay. I certainly have my opinions as committee chair, but I would like to hear others before we voice mine.
Well, I didn't know that we're supposed to only meet when we have a complaint, because we meet a lot when we don't have complaints. So that's kind of news to me.
Well, and I think to clear that a little bit up, it's what Commissioner Reed is saying is that if we were in advisory capacity, that we would be meeting every time we're scheduled, every other month. Instead, we right now currently we do still have meetings even when we don't have complaints, but they get canceled if we don't have any other, pertinent things to discuss. So that's what Commissioner Reed's getting at.
See, and I thought they were canceled because of a conflict or something. It wasn't because we didn't have any complaints.
And that this is April from Community Development as I run all our other boards. That does also happen with our other advisory boards. If there's no business to present, if there's nothing to bring forward to the committee or the board, then we cancel those meetings as well. So it's not unique to this committee that meetings get canceled because there's just no business. So just put that out there.
However, with us in our current composition, I guess my question would be, is that if we were to follow what Commissioner Reed is saying, it would give us the freedom to continue to have meetings even if we don't have complaints.
Yeah, absolutely. You could have meetings if you don't have complaints in your current configuration and other business, as we don't have complaints this month, but there is other business to bring forward.
Does anybody? I have more thoughts on it. Does anybody else have any questions? Mike, Alana, you guys being new.
I guess I would be curious to know what additional responsibilities and the advisory capacity we would have to take on if that's been discussed.
Or less, if for some reason clients committee versus advisory might have less impact in the ADA related decisions and things like that.
So we can provide the document that created this committee because it was a commission created committee. I don't know if it was, I believe it was a resolution. And I believe that's on the website.
Yeah,
so that outlines, so that outlines the duties of the committee as it currently is. And then if you guys want to do a bit more reading and a bit more consideration as to what you feel the role of the committee should be, Should it remain a compliance committee? Should it become an advisory board? And then that would have to go through the city attorney's office, et cetera, commission, and to actually make those fundamental changes to how this board works.
That would be great. And then I guess my additional question would be this, is that I know me personally, and I know with other people who were formerly on the board and currently are, that some of their, or on the committee, some of their, they would like to see our capacity expanded instead of just being strictly addressing ADA complaints, being able to offer, advise the city on other matters as well. I know informally that happens with certain things, but I know I myself and others would like to see that more formally. And so my question to the city, the employees that we have here, and then as well as to you, Commissioner Reed, would be, would advisory versus the compliance aspect, would advisory give us that ability to have broader input on things?
Matt, would you have any?
This is, I mean, it's a
Information.
policy question for the commission and how the commission creates the advisory board.
And
versus
again, it would be
compliance.
going back to the resolutions that have already established this committee to see how, if they would want to change it and how they would want to see that role changed.
So in general, to answer Commissioner Reed's question, my fellow committee members, I guess what I would like to get at is, regardless of the label on it, would you all like to see us taking on more of an advisory role over broader issues surrounding accessibility, surrounding town, and not just complaint driven?
Well, we kind of have in the past.
Mhm.
I mean, that's the code enforcement. Did that, and we did the e-bikes. So we have done some more work for something else.
Mhm. Yeah. But do we want to make that more of a formal thing? Just so things don't change down the road? I mean, things shift and change.
Yeah. Would we still be every other month, or would we be forced to go every month? We're an advisory committee.
Chair, if I may, and
Yes,
Commissioner,
please.
this is Anne. I think, Commissioner, depending on your timeline and what you're asking, I wonder if it would be helpful for everybody on the committee to think about this question and potentially come to the next meeting with a list of each of their own thoughts once they've had time to go through the resolutions. Look through those, see what your current duties are, what duties you would, as current members, right? Because different members on the committee would have different thoughts into the future. What you as the current members think you would like to see the committee continue to have responsibility for, and then maybe a list of things that you would like to have as part of maybe an additional role, additional tasks, what your thoughts are on what you think would be different as an advisory committee. And then we could compile all of those together, see what, I feel like without Director Brink here, without legal having had a chance to look at this as a topic, I want to make sure we're looking at whatever we need to do with the clerk's office for what may or may not be happening with advisory boards as a whole at the city. I don't want to step outside of what may or may not be being considered for other boards, but if everybody kind of thought about what they personally wanted to see as their individual role and the role of the committee, and then we came with a list of those items, Commissioner Reed, would that help give you a good sense of what you may or may not then be asking the commission as the whole to look at?
Yes, and thank you. I think if everybody looks at the resolution, and again, I'm not suggesting that we, create ourselves a whole new world here, but I do think it has come up in the past that meetings were canceled because there were no compliance issues. And I think that that is something that I'd heard over the last year that people had hoped to move away from. So if on the next meeting, we could have a noticed item with review of the, creating resolution and any suggestions for modifying it, maybe everything's cool and that's fine. But again, I'm picking up on what I heard over the last year, and I'd like to start with new officers in a new year, just revisiting what is it that we do here. And do we see the possibility of doing something additional? And then, of course, obviously with legal and clerk's office and everybody going through the proper channels, I think that would be a useful exercise to start the new year.
Thank you, Commissioner Reed. So could we add that to the agenda for the January meeting then, a review?
Yes, Chair, I think that would be great, and I'm sorry that as staff, I just assigned everybody homework outside of that.
Especially over the holidays,
I
Dan.
Holidays. I'm a Grinch. Because the next meeting would be January 20th. If people think that gives them enough time to come in with this, I just feel like there might be things that people having been have the idea out may think of after today's meeting that's important to. I want to give everybody a chance to really think about, if you're looking to re-envision this, what your vision would be, how you would like to see this work, and then we can take those ideas to commission, legal, clerk's office, and see what's a more appropriate task, not because we might end up having to modify resolutions, right? Right now, you have to follow what created your committee.
Or if the current resolution is perfectly fine and fits the role of the committee, and that could be another option too.
So yes, I will put that on the agenda for the next meeting if everybody wants to take some time to really think about what you'd like to have your role.
Yeah, I think that is a great idea. It gives us time to, if we are re-examining this committee, it makes sense that we sit down and, instead of doing something halfway that's going to need to be readdressed again down the road, just sit down, actually take some time with it and do a quality job with it once. Not to say it doesn't have to be revisioned again down the road as society shifts and changes, but we don't have to visit again in another year. Okay. Any other questions or comments on that before we move on to the next agenda item?
Well, another complaint that we haven't heard about lately is moving the parking
lot. Could you guys please update me on that? I think that predates my.
For a long time.
I think Troy would be the best person to address that issue.
Yes, so Chair, committee members, Troy Sampson with Facilities. I assume you're speaking of the City County Building.
Yes.
ADA parking lot. So moving that parking lot, that project is in design. And I know that's been it's been in design for a long time. So, but we've engaged with civil engineer along with structural and an architect firm. Been working together on some redesign. We're also, because parking lots aren't necessarily my forte, we rely heavily on those consultants. Also work with David Knopke and he's helping us through that process too. But that all being said, that parking lot design should wrap up here in early spring. And then we should be able to, it's gonna be a full rebuild out there. So it's gonna disrupt traffic around the building, obviously, and create some heads for all of us. But so it is happening. That's a good thing. Good news, we still have the south lot. That's why we decided really to move it, is it's hard to tear up the 188 lot you have to redo it all. And then how do people get in the building? So that is coming forward. So I'll keep this group abreast of progress on that.
Any other comments before we move on to our next item?
Thank you, Chair. So the next item, we have Abigail Dolan here as our guest. As she introduced herself, she's with the Helena Business Improvement District. For those of you who may not have been at the meeting, earlier this year, the Business Improvement District came and talked to the committee about a new program they were working on with their event planning, event safety, and then asked if the committee would go through some of that information, but also provide some feedback on how some of the events are working, some of the new processes they're putting in place. So she asked if she could come today and just get some feedback from everybody, whether you have comments about the events that have happened downtown, if you had any experience, whether you were an event planner, an event attendee, any of those sorts of things. So if you could get some feedback going forward. So Chair, if it's okay, I'd like to just turn it over to Abigail. Yes, thank you.
Hello, yes. So BID took on a project and we partnered with Department of Transportation, Helena Police Department, and Helena Fire Department to come up with a safety plan that was used for all the events this summer. And I checked in before it was released and got your feedback. Now I wanted to check in after to see if there's any more suggestions or concerns, mainly because we've been through one summer season of events, so this is a good time to check in. If you had any feedback for any events that happened downtown, I can pass it on to the event planners of those events, so that way any needs, concerns are addressed now in the planning stage rather than like when it's happening. So if you attended any events downtown, I would love to hear your feedback, good or bad. And then I can take those to the necessary parties and try to make the events fun for all. So, yeah.
Gabrielle, does anyone have any input, any experiences, negative or positive, they'd like to share?
I thought the plan was very comprehensive and I thought it was really well done. Other than sometimes you said volunteer, sometimes you said employee, or I thought a lot of it applied to both. So I thought maybe it should be, employee / volunteer, whichever they were.
Thank you, Debbie. I know from a pragmatic implementation stance, like when I attended events this summer, I, as someone who's blind, didn't have any complaints. Everything went really well. So thank you for involving us in that process and continuing to do so, because a lot of times with the disabled community, it does kind of seem like it's a one and a done. It's like, we proposed your plan, they said yes, check the box, never done. But the fact that you followed back up is really meaningful and very intentional. So thank you. Do you have any other questions?
This is freestanding, so if you attend an event and you've noticed something that could be done better, 100% always email or call. Because I would rather address that right away rather than 2 years later of, oh yeah, that could have been done better. So great example is the celebration of lights that's happening on Black Friday. It happens every Black Friday. Last year, on my very first day of working for the BID, I had the very pleasure of being dropped this event 3 weeks before it happened and being asked to plan it. And one issue was I've never planned it before, and there was a lot of issues. Mainly congestion was one of them. You couldn't walk, you could not move. It was very concerning with how many. It was great attendance, but it was very concerning, the attendance. For example, Santa was right in front of the hopper, and the line for Santa clogged up the walking and created such a hazard and an ADA horrible traffic clog. So we moved Santa's workshop to be in Performance Square, where the line will be actually in Performance Square and not in the traffic lane and the fire lane at all. So hopefully this year will be smoother sailing and able to walk from one end to the walking mall without any issues. But yes, so if anything comes up like that, just email or call and we can address it for the next year.
And that actually, not to regress in the agenda items, but that actually brings up a good point of why some of us were talking about concerns of meetings being canceled, is Abigail actually wanted to bring this up at the last meeting that was canceled. So if we cancel meetings, community members can't bring things forward. So that's
We completely understand that. Typically with the agendas, the chair and vice chair put the items on the agenda. And unfortunately, our last meeting, we also were running into staffing issues. So sometimes we just have staffing issues too that make it almost impossible to run a meeting. So I do apologize for that. But yeah, without. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for that explanation.
Yeah. September was a very busy month for us, and we were a little shorthanded.
This is Anne. I would also mention, I believe that was the same day as the open house for the land use plan for the public open house and public meeting. And since there were no complaints, no items on the agenda.
And we were a little short-staffed. Chris was out of the office, and yeah.
And I guess maybe something, Chair, if I could jump back to one of the previous agenda items, yes. I guess as part of when you're thinking about your dreams for this committee, I guess to as staff, what I try to do, just so you know my philosophy, I try to weigh having a meeting with no agenda items or respecting your time. Mm-hmm. So when there's no complaint, staff is short, and there's no new information on anything that we've asked for follow-up. This last time we just said there's no staff available. There was not anything to report. We sent out notice that there had not been any complaints. So it wasn't like, oh, there's a complaint, but we can't meet. Mm-hmm. It wasn't that kind of situation. So think about too, where you'd like to be, because these are public meetings. While we have an opportunity for public comment and member communications time, if we're going to talk about something, it needs to be on the agenda that's posted for the public, right? And so if we don't have any updates and we don't have something, I want to make sure we're not calling a meeting where then we might be discussing business that the public doesn't know about. So maybe think too about if the only item is something that does not have a new update, if you'd prefer to have that as email. And then now that we do have a chair, because we had people terming off right during that time, that's something that you and I can work on together ahead of the meeting, ahead of the required posting date. So we can make sure if that's something that people do want to come to, especially as we head into bad weather time, what we want to do, right? Because I also do not want to burn out board members for, a 10-minute meeting, or have members of the public come for something and then not see on the agenda something that's important to them and be like, you just talked about something really important that you didn't post on the agenda. Right. So that's something you and I can work on now that we have a chair. Yeah. But also if you all want to think about that, right? Because in some cases, if there's not items to discuss, we want to respect the time of all of our board members across the city as well. So if you can all kind of think about that as well, that would help us as staff.
Can I tack onto that?
Sure.
I love your idea about making sure things are on the agenda. There's nothing worse than, obviously things, you're going to have someone who's new to the situation, just shows up for the public comment, throw something in there. But, working relationship with Abigail, we can certainly make sure those things are on the agenda in advance so that people have notice, because it does happen. You do hear about something in the community that people aren't aware of in advance, so they don't have time to collect their thoughts, think about it, things like that. So I agree with you on that. My only thing that I would like to add for the committee to think about is when it comes to canceling meetings, I understand that it might be a 10-15 minute meeting. However, being someone who is a part of a nonprofit organization, I understand it's not government, but similar in terms of you're trying to drive participation, that irregular meetings decreases participation because people do not know about the regularity of meetings that are going to be held. So I do think as personally, and this is something we need to think of as a committee, it's not just the Jacob committee, but I think that when you sign up for a role like this, showing up once every other month, staffing shortages aside, I certainly, that's just the nature of the world. We can't do anything about that. But staffing shortages aside, I'd rather us find agenda items to speak about, because there's always something going on in the disabled community. I assure you, the fact that ADA was passed over 30 years ago, and there's still stairs interrupting a sidewalk in front of my building is an issue. So there's always something. So I guess my thought would be that with volunteering to do this position, that you are taking on a responsibility. So that would be the only thing that I wish you guys would also factor in with Ann's comments. So any more thoughts or anything before we move on to Ann's next? Or not Ann's, but agenda item for Ann to help me with.
Thank you, Chair. The next agenda item is for public comment. And April, maybe you can let us know. It looks like we do have one participant on Zoom who is a member of the public.
So Dr. G, if you have any comment, you could raise your hand now. Okay. Go ahead.
Hello, just wanted to thank Dave Konopke and his team again, and also Commissioner Reed for being some of our strongest advocates and some of our only advocates in the city regarding ADA issues. And I applaud the work of this committee in expanding its scope and its reach. One suggestion I would like to offer that perhaps the committee might consider could possibly be out to the Helena Citizens Council and have them collect feedback from disabled members of the community who perhaps may not even be familiar with the existence of this committee. Thank you.
Just a clarification, Dr. G. You, at least on my end, and maybe others heard it, you broke up there for a second in the middle. What exactly were you suggesting that we put forward to the Helena Citizens Council? The resolutions that we're looking at revisiting, like if we do revisit those, putting those to the council, or just our mere existence or the meeting schedule?
Was referring to, maybe reach out to them and ask them to let people know about the work that the committee is doing and see if they can, if the various different council members can solicit feedback from residents in their districts, if that makes sense.
Yes, it makes sense to me. Does anyone have any questions about Dr. G's suggestion?
I think it's a great idea because thinking of universal design, it isn't just one committee's role, right? So if we can help educate other departments, other committees and advisory groups to be looking at it with that lens, then yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mike. Anyone else?
Yes, Abigail.
Abigail again. I was just wondering, how do you make a complaint? Because I had that question and then I realized I didn't know it. So how do you officially make a complaint?
Yeah.
Sure, if I could.
Yes.
If you go to our website, it's all listed out how to do it, what information a person needs to provide, and how they would do it. And so it's there. On our website, you can also get to it from the very main city website by clicking accessibility. That way then everybody has the same information. So if you have a complaint, you can go there and follow the process. But if you're trying to help somebody else who might need assistance in filing a complaint, that's also how they would go about doing that.
And we also have an online complaint form as well that can be filled out and submitted electronically.
Awesome. So, Chair, so that you know, April has the website up right now that gives the description of what the grievance and complaint procedures are, the process, and then contact information. But as she also said, there's a place to click that has an online complaint form as well.
You're quick, April.
I know where it all is because I helped create it all.
So yes, so that's a wonderful question. So if people ask you, that is the place to go. And please remember, this is for city public related.
So city owned facilities, city leased facilities, our city policies, procedures, HR, et cetera.
Sometimes we get them for other public entities, and then we just coordinate and get them to them directly. For example, sometimes we get letters from the prison. That's not something that we have jurisdiction over. However, we make sure those get directly to whoever can help address those complaints. So
we figure that's because people search ADA coordinator Helena, and we're the first Google search result. So
it comes up before the state one does. So, but if you're helping somebody try to navigate the process, we hope that it's clear to find the exact steps on the website, but that's also something maybe that everybody on the committee, since I have now suggested a lot of templates right down there. If it seems clear what your steps are, how to go about doing it. If something does not seem clear, we should reevaluate that.
And I believe that's also spelled out in some of the resolutions that you'll be looking over the complaint process itself, because it is established by resolution.
Is that helpful? You know, it's not just like go to the website, but really then you have the exact steps, the exact information, and then every person you talk to gets the exact same information, and it's not, oh, you can go do this one thing or call this one instead, everybody is getting the exact same information. So we don't miss a complaint, so that somebody doesn't just try to file it somewhere and it's an email address that doesn't exist anymore, right? Like, we want to make sure that everybody has very clear, consistent way to know how to go about doing that.
We're not necessarily going to get a complaint through like me or Helena directly. It might not come to us in a timely manner or something like that. This is what we've established. So
all of this sounds great. I just didn't know there was a website, so that was my bad. Thank you.
Chair, if I may, I would just like to address that. I think that I'm very glad that you asked that question, because it is hard. If people don't know it's there, then also we don't know how to make sure that people get their questions answered, or make sure that if there's an issue that we do know right away. So I'm glad that somebody like you, who works with a lot of different groups, now knows how to find that, because I suspect that there are plenty of other people who also have that question. So thank you so much for bringing that up.
Yeah, thank you. And I agree with you, Ann, that sometimes for some individuals that aren't as comfortable with tech, just the exploring the website is daunting to them. They know exactly where to go. It's a lot easier. So the accessibility thing is a nice touch, by the way. That just makes sense.
Well, we have it both at the top of the city webpage and at the bottom of the city webpage, a link to accessibility.
That's awesome.
And then it's directly through our department page as well.
That's perfect.
So lots of places.
Yeah, that's always good. All right. Any more public comment?
I see none online.
Okay.
So Chair, the next agenda item is member communications and or proposals for the next agenda. And that, again, that next meeting is January 20th, 2026. And as a recap, I have listed for the next agenda that we will have an actual agenda item also so the public knows that we're going to have a discussion of reviewing any sort of creating resolutions, the resolutions that exist, and an opportunity for the board to talk about their thoughts from Commissioner Reed's question today. And then I am also, between now and then, so it won't be on the agenda, is that I'm going to email you all the link as soon as the agenda comes up for the commission meeting where the discussion about code enforcement will come, so that if any of you want to attend that or provide comments, you'll be able to.
Thank you. All right, any other comments?
Any other proposals for next agenda?
Okay, that was our last agenda item, wasn't it?
The only remaining agenda item, Chair, is adjournment.
Perfect. Well, last call. All right, then meeting adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank
And
you.
Dave, thank you truly.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Commissioner.
I really do appreciate you being so dogged on that code enforcement issue.